we're here with legendary Hall of Famer Marty Garza. A lot of you guys have heard of him. A lot of you guys know about him. He just come out with a cool new book about monster trucks, and he's known for the Overkill monster trucks. So Marty, tell us a little bit about how you got started in all of this.
Well, if I can remember back that far, back at, I'm going to say the last day of school in high school, back around 1980, I remember walking by one of my classmates' desk, and he had this magazine out. And as I walked by, something caught my eye. I looked at it, and there was this truck with the biggest tires I'd ever seen. Really, I'd always liked trucks anyway, but I said, let me take a look at that. And it was built by this guy named Bob Chandler. I don't even know that the truck was being called Bigfoot at that time. It was I think this was a magazine was printed in like 1979. Mm-hmm. And that really got my interest.
And that was probably them big 47s, weren't it?
Actually, it was still on the tractor tires.
Okay.
18,
the tractor trailer tires. Yeah.
And so I, got really interested in lifted trucks at that time. In '81, I bought a Ford Bronco, and that thing just immediately I started customizing it. By the time I graduated in '82, had a 460 with a 671, and at that time it was on 40s, and then shortly after that the 44s came out, so I had to, of course, have the first set of 44s in the state of Texas. I went through all that. It was just an obsession. And I did a lot of car shows with the truck. Had custom paint areas. So I always won just about every car show I went to. But in '83, I believe it was, we had this show down in South Texas where I live. It's called the Cowboy Cadillac. And that was the king of all the truck shows, of course. And I go in there just thinking that I'm gonna, dominate this show. And I'm sitting there polishing on the truck, and the back door rolls up, and I see this thing rolling in, and my jaw about drops, and it's this big green and white Ford. Came to be known as the Texas Armadillo. Mm-hmm. And it was on 48s and 2.5-ton axles, beautiful truck. Mm-hmm. And of course, I was disheartened by seeing that thing. And I knew I had to do more. I had to go bigger. Well, the owner of that truck, Gabriel Montes, and I eventually became pretty good friends. And I started crewing for him probably by '84. And then he helped me put 48 or put 2.5-ton axles under the truck. And it just escalated. It's just like anything. You just can't get enough. And we were halfway through that project of putting 48s on the truck. And I bought a set of brand new Goodyear 48 swivel treads with aluminum Midwest 20x20 wheels and the whole 9 yards. And then we said, well, I don't know, we need to put it on 73s. So, because Texas Armadillo was on 73s. So we started looking into that. I bought a set of planetary axles. It just escalated from there. I mean, and here we are almost 35 years later, I'm still in this stuff.
So you went from that to, is that when you started building the first Overkill truck, or what about?
Yeah, it came, this was a really odd way. It's weird how, our industry has so much overlap between all these different individuals within our circle here. But back in '87, about that time, after we were already taking the Bronco apart. I already bought axles. We already had the chassis planned out. I was going to have a right angle drive, all this stuff. Well, about that time, especially like TNT, although the TNT racing circuit didn't really start till '88, they were already racing in '87, and that immediately caught my attention. I'd always been a drag racer when in high school and all, so that was all of a sudden, it got the gears turning in my head, and I said, wait a minute, building this big thing on 73s, really tall, heavy, that's not ideal for racing. If we're going to be racing, it needs to be something completely different. So I went to work designing something of what I thought was going to be a racing monster truck, because there really wasn't anything that was really specifically designed for that. I guess Mad Dog 3 was probably the first truck that was sort of really planned to be a racing truck. So I started coming up with some different designs. Like I said, I had bought these 48s on aluminum wheels, and I had I'd become friends with Mike Waters, and Mike was in town to do a show, and after the show he came over to my house and saw those 48s in my garage, and he said, I just got to have it. He wanted them, and he's like, so we started doing our, hog trading that happens so much in our industry, especially in those early days. And Mike offered to trade me a set of 5 tons with planetaries that he had built for what was going to be his second Black Stallion, and offered to trade those for the 48s. So sure enough, we did that trade, and those tires ended up being on his Black Stallion Junior, going on his Black Stallion Junior, and those are the axles that went under Overkill 1.
Okay, all right, so that makes sense. Now, how did the paint scheme come about? Because that was, that was a little bit different. You had the black and the squiggly line, and then you had the cat and all that. What was that?
Back then, in the late 80s, the big thing was like splash paint jobs. There were a lot of trucks and custom cars, hot rods, and everything around the time they had this splash paint job. That was just the popular thing. And so when all my vehicles were always solid black. I've always had black vehicles and everything. So, but I recognized that for a show vehicle, which at that time it was still primarily show, an all black truck wasn't going to be ideal. And plus, Mike already had an all black truck, and I couldn't do this and that. So this was as black as I could get it, and still had some color in it. The Overkill name was something that came about back in '82. There was a Chevy 2 Nova built by this guy. It was in the cover of Hot Rod magazine. And that thing was just the coolest car I'd ever seen. And it was called Overkill. And that stuck with me. And so later on, when I built this truck, that's got to be the name.
Yeah.
The style was perfect.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Well, hey, if you guys enjoy these, subscribe, tell your friends, and next episode we'll talk some more with Marty about some of the more of the evolution of the Overkill trucks and where he's at today.